All right, hey guys. I'm just gonna chit chat while I get ready. Okay. This may be my last video. However, if there's those of you that were watching for my skincare content, let me know if you want me to keep putting out some skin content, face massage, what I do, talk a little bit about mineral powders that I use as an SPF, and things of that nature. Now, it'll be extremely difficult for me to do these videos because you guys know that I talk about a lot of things in my videos because I use it as a platform to get information out and not just talk about things that really are meaningless at the end of the day. Okay, like in my skincare videos, I do sometimes talk about how to treat lesions. That could be, you know what, and I do talk about those types of things. However, everything that I do gets censored when it is even remotely empowering for people, okay? Or the truth in a way that the system deems a threat. Now, I was commenting on a video short yesterday. It was a doctor talking about the whole raw milk, E. coli, and another bacterial infection, an outbreak. And 20 people got sick and a couple of people were really sick and whatever. And the video was all about how dangerous raw milk is. And of course you read the comments and, yeah, you know where I'm going, right? But yet you mention that if their equipment is clean and they have good sanitizing practices, the risk is extremely minimal, no greater than eating or consuming any other thing. That's the reality of it, okay? It's just like canning. When you're canning food, you have to follow the instructions and you have to make sure that you're doing it properly, because if not, you can end up contaminating your food and it could be really bad for people, right? Yeah. And heaven forbid, I mention that more people die from eating produce. Now, granted, more people eat produce than they do who drink raw milk. But what I'm saying is that a lot of food poisoning comes from people who eat raw produce, salads, raw vegetables, because you really can't wash it off if it's contaminated. You can rinse off some of it, but you're not washing all of it off. Yeah. And then there's norovirus, which is actually the most common form of food poisoning, food-borne illness that can happen with anything. And that's like the majority of food-borne illnesses. And you don't see these people running around telling you not to eat those foods, right? Not to eat those foods. But 20 people get sick because something went awry with the processing of the milk, meaning getting it from the cow into the vat, into the bottle. Something wasn't clean, okay, in that chain. It's not about a sick cow, because most good farmers are testing their animals all the time. So it's not a sick cow, okay? It's something is getting contaminated in the food processing chain, okay? Having to do with sanitization and the equipment and things of that nature, okay? Now, YouTube doesn't like it when I say that and doesn't like it when I put facts out, so that people can always make educated and informed decisions about what is right for them. And then, of course, the people saying that there's no difference between pasteurized milk and raw milk, so why would you take the risk? And then you explain the differences to them that are provable, by the way. I'm not talking about things that I believe or things that I think. I'm talking about this is just the way that it is. You can choose to think this is worthless information and it doesn't matter, but some people think that it does matter. And there's people that know it matters because their body tells them that it matters, okay? But we all know that's not allowed. Yeah, I'm a little fiery, okay? And I know better. Like, I know better. I know the state of YouTube. It's terrible. Because it's run by the same, monsters that are, trying to control and dominate the entire human race. So, yeah, I get it. So, I've also been getting my comments censored on issues about nicotine, ivermectin, fen-ben, all of that. Yeah, YouTube's not happy with my comments, and it seems like the minute I comment on anything, it gets deleted. A couple of my comments stick, which is great, but they're usually very baby comments. They're not anything super threatening, but heaven forbid I put out some real information and they get deleted right away. So the whole idea of me continuing on with videos and stuff seems like it's probably not going to happen. Because if I risk it, then I lose my channel. And then, it's, right back to where I was before. Doing no social media at all. I've already gotten rid of my YouTube channel, my Telegram channel, and not sure what to do with my YouTube channel. So if those of you who are still around, if you want me to continue some skincare stuff, let me know. Again, I may or may not do it, but I'm just saying, if I know that there's a few of you that like that and want that, I may continue to do it. The problem is that that's not really what I'm about. It's not really what I want to be doing, even though I love that piece. But when I work with people and talk about skincare, I get into all of the whole perspective of health and well-being and, skin and what it's a reflection of. And I can't do all of that on YouTube. I can do a little bit of it, but I can't do as much as I would like to. So I have to constantly censor what I'm saying, and I have to constantly be mindful of me possibly getting a strike. The world we live in is terrible. It's flat out terrible. And I don't know how it's going to unfold, but there's a lot of people out there that are saying the Matrix has been glitching a lot for them lately. And I know it can be glitchy too. I see it and feel it in my own life. So things are glitchy. And I hope that is a great sign. I hope that it means we're starting to glitch through this. Some people call it a simulation. I don't really have a word for it. I've talked about how during my childhood, some of my earliest memories, I remember seeing the glitching of the Matrix. I remember seeing like what looked like electricity or a pixelated movements of these things. I used to see things that would move around a little bit, and I kind of thought like everybody saw it. Like, do you see that? And they're like, what are you talking about? And it was almost to me as if it was some kind of curtain. Like there was some kind of curtain that was blocking us from what was behind and what was real. And it was like, I always knew that this was fake. And it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right? Where they go up and they pull the curtain back. It always felt to me like it was some kind of invisible curtain that was like a pixelated or electric. Maybe there's another word that I'm just not familiar with because I'm not a techie person, but something. And that stayed with me for years and years and years and years. And there's some times that I would see it more than others. And there were times that I was aware of it more than others. And then there were always other things too that always got me to be very keenly aware that this was a reality that was not based on organic truths, that this is basically like a fake reality that has been set up for us. And then we've been programmed and conditioned and brainwashed to fit into this false program. Now, that doesn't mean that when you look out at the earth, like I'm looking at the trees and, the beautiful planet, it doesn't mean that that's fake. Okay, what that means is that the reality that has been created on the earth is a fake reality. Now, that also doesn't mean that there's not moments that we tap into the true reality, okay? The authentic reality, the beautiful reality. The one that we're all missing out on, okay, the majority of the time. And my girlfriend and I were out canoeing last summer, and we were on the lake, and we were back, like there's like two areas of it. We were like back where you kind of go through like this little area and you're like back, and it's like really secluded. It's really beautiful. And we were just out there floating and just hanging out and talking, and we were talking about a lot of things, and we were like, this is the real reality. Like, this is the true reality. It's like, it's me, it's you. We're here together. We're in our truth, and we're authentic, and we are just experiencing a moment in nature together that is real. Like, this is real. This is as real as it gets, because we are honest, we are truthful, we have integrity, right? We care about each other, we love each other, you know, it's like, this is the real reality. Nobody has to force anybody. Nobody has to bribe anybody. Nobody has to coerce anybody. This is just the beautiful, true reality. That is not what this matrix is about, okay? The one that we're all living in. It's violence. And it may not be the kind of violence that we think about, as in stabbing and clubbing and, you know, physical violence, but it is violence because everything we do is under coercion or threat. Because if it wasn't, I don't think most people would be living the way that they're living. Okay, it's under coercion and threat. Okay, work at a shitty job that you hate because you got to pay bills and you got to pay the government their money, okay? Because if you don't, you're going to go to jail. That's coercion and that's threat. And then people say, well, you have to because there's lazy people that wouldn't do anything. Really? Really? Ever see a lazy child who was raised in an environment without TV, without gadgets, and without distractions? Have you ever seen a child that just sits around and does nothing? Mm-mm. Humans aren't lazy by nature, okay? So the only reason people get lazy is because they're depressed and they're not feeling any kind of life within them that is worth living, okay? That's what it means. They don't have joy in their life, all right? And that's the problem. And a lot of people don't have joy in their life. And it's really sad. And I'm not saying, you know, that we would have it 24/7 because, you know, that's just not life. But it's not joyful to wake up every day knowing that if you don't do the bump and grind, you're going to lose everything. And if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to jail. And if you don't follow the rules, you're going to go to jail. Okay? And I'm not talking about criminals, okay, that do bad things, all right? I'm not talking about that. That's a whole nother story. Okay, that is a whole nother conversation. I could do it, but I'm not going to do it right now, okay? Because that will take us off onto another tangent. I could totally do it, but not at this moment. So, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know how it's going to unfold. But what I do know is that I didn't come for this shit. And it's been absolutely brutal for me to be here the 56 years that I've been on this planet. But because of my personality and my inherent strength and my ability to be confident, and I don't even know what the words are. Like, I'm sure I could think of other words. But I'm not a depressed, unhappy, miserable person, okay? I actually have been able to do all right just because of my constitution, because of who I am. But I can honestly tell you that I wouldn't go back and do it all over again for anything. Like, for absolutely nothing. No reason at all. Not even my children. And I love my children more than life. I love my children more than I love myself. As far as like emotional love, like, but I wouldn't go back and redo it for anything. And I went to bed the other night and I was thinking, wow, if I could go back, do it all over again, knowing what I know now. And it was like, that's a fuck no. It was hard enough knowing what I knew then and going through it, to go back and know what I know now and having to go through it. It would have been, I probably would have been like suicidal or in a mental institution or in jail. Because I can't imagine how much I would have had to sacrifice and suppress. I already did have to sacrifice and suppress a lot. If I knew now, I mean, if I knew then what I know now, it would be a gazillion times more than that. So, yeah, that'd be an absolute no. But I wouldn't come back, even at the same level of consciousness that I came in either. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go back and do it again. No freaking way. So, sorry, I'm just getting ready for the morning, getting ready for the day. And I just thought I would chit chat for a minute, okay? So YouTube is a bust, okay? When it comes to talking about anything significant that matters and anything that I really, really want to talk about. But I do enjoy skincare and facial stuff, but I just really don't know if that's what I want to do on YouTube. I really, again, I'm kind of like stuck because I feel like it's not contributing anything real to anything. Because it's not going to change your life, all right? It can change your skin, but it's not going to change your life, all right? It's not helping you to stay empowered and connected to yourself and aware of what's going on so that you can navigate through, what is coming. Although there's really nothing I can say that is going to help you do that. That's your own intuition. That's how deeply are you connected to your instincts and your intuition, because that's the only thing that's going to save you. The only thing. I just like to try to be that hand to hold as we walk through this journey, because it's really, really tough, and it's getting more crazy by the day. Okay, it's getting more crazy by the day. So I have to remember these crazy people are trying to tell us that an increase in a little less than 2 degrees, which isn't even universal across the planet. It's only in some areas. In other areas, it's colder, right? We know that. In other areas, it hasn't changed much. So this is the average. There's some places on the planet that are a bit hotter. There's some places on the planet that are a bit colder, okay? But they tell us that it's a warming trend, and we're 2 degrees hotter than we were, I don't know how many years ago, whatever number it is that they're throwing out there, right? You and I can't really validate that. But they're saying it's 2 degrees, 1.8 degrees. You're kidding me, right? 1.8 degree temperature change, which is inconsistent too. It's not an everyday thing, right? There's days that are colder, coldest day on record, but yet there's days that are warmer day on record, right? Type of thing, but it's not consistent. So they're trying to tell us that a 1.8 increase in overall temperature on the planet as an average is responsible for all of these forest fires and all of the problems that the planet is having, in addition to CO2. Mind-boggling. Okay, this is fucking mind-boggling that anybody would believe this. Okay? Anyone. This planet has been around for millions of years. It has gone through ice ages. It has gone through, hot ages. It's gone through so many climate changes and so many different expressions, okay? Less than 2 degrees is causing all of this. I find that hard to believe, because the plants seem to be doing okay, all right? And they seem to be adapting pretty well, okay, to all of this stuff. Okay, and the sun is so dangerous. Well, why are the plants not all dying? Because they have some built-in protection, right? We have built-in protection too, and why isn't it working as well as it should be? Why isn't it? Now, granted, a lot of us are mismatched. We're not in the right environment for our DNA. I've talked about that a million times, but even people that are in the right environment for their DNA are still getting skin cancer. So what is going on? What is going on? Yeah. Okay. Melanomas that have nothing to do with the sun, nothing at all to do with the sun. People are getting them under their fucking toes. Okay, it's not an issue of the sun. And granted, we know that there's skin cancers that are related to excessive exposure, okay? And yeah, we know that humans really aren't smart. I wasn't smart. I used to sunbathe constantly and did some serious damage to my skin. I've already healed 2 lesions, working on a 3rd one that I just realized because it's like on the side of my face and I didn't see it. Like, I just saw it the other day. It's probably been there quite a while. So working on that one. Because we're just not that smart sometimes, right? But our ancient fellow relatives were a lot more instinctive than we are. Okay, we've lost a lot of our instincts. Okay, it's why animals in nature know what to do without being told. Okay, at least a lot of them. Some need to be taught, but a lot of them just instinctively know what to do. We've lost a lot of those instincts, okay? And humans do have a long developmental period that we need to be like taken in by adults and guided and all of that. We do have that for sure, but we're supposed to have instincts as well, okay? What's going on with that? Where are our instincts? They're sleeping. We need to wake them up.